When you think about GPUs, you usually think about AMD and Nvidia. Well, and now Intel too with the Arc GPUs. But what if I tell you there's another company making GPUs? Well, that's right, all the way from mainland China, we have more Threads, a company that despite centering themselves more on the server market, they also released a couple of gaming GPUs a while ago. In fact, you may know them because of the S80, a GPU that was reviewed by a couple of personalities and reviewers a while ago. But there are more models, like the one I have here, the S70. This is the little brother from the S80 and has never been reviewed outside from China. So let's see what this card and company has to offer. So I got this GPU from a platform called AliExpress that sells Chinese items on Europe and other parts of the world. There was only one seller selling this GPU, so I was not really comfortable buying it because I thought it was maybe a scam because it was like really weird and also the description was not exactly right and things like that. But it ended up coming and it looks like it's the real thing. Also, I paid for it like around $350 US, adding the import taxes and the customs and everything. So let's start with the specs. If we go to the Chinese version of the website and we go to the bottom of it, we can see a table here listing all the specs of the GPU. So the first one is the number of cores the chip has, 500 less than the S80. Then we have the speed and the compute performance of 11.2 TFLOPS. Then we have some information about the VRAM, having 7GB of GDDR6 memory on a 224-bit bus, which gives us around 400GB per second of transfer speeds. Then we have the PCIe, that is Gen 4 and 16 lanes, and some information about the outputs with 3 DisplayPort 1.4a and 1 HDMI 2.1, so these are really up to date. Then we have the maximum output resolution, that is 8K, the TDP, that is 220 watts, and the dimension of the physical card. We should keep in mind the TDP because this may give us a hint about how much more performance they can extract from this card, because as we will see in the test, they don't come even near that number when actually running games. So let's see how it ships to you once you buy it. Also, sorry for the quality of this part because I had to record it with my phone, so my voice is not the best and also the viewing quality is not great, but let's go with it. So if we now go and open this, it opens, well, as you can see in the back, it had some stickers here preventing it from getting opened, but it opens just like some Founders Edition cards from Nvidia and the Intel also Founders Edition cards. It opens like this, and if you open it, the first thing you notice is, well, some more branding right here about the more threads, the company. It has this printed on gold, it's also reflective like other parts of the box, so it's high quality and everything. And if you open this, you will get to the GPU. I've already opened it to test it, so this is not the first time. And as you can see, here's a little manual showing you how to install it. Of course, everything is in Chinese, nothing on English. The same 2 QR codes that were in the back of the box. Some more instructions that I don't know what they are talking about. They mention here PCB or something, BIOS and other stuff. So I guess like a quick install guide or something like that. And then you have here one sticker that I don't know what that means. Some warnings in Chinese, I'm guessing. We have the card here. This is the front of the card. We have 3 fans. These, I don't know how big they are. Give me a second, I'm gonna get measuring tape. So let's see. These are 80 centimeters, it seems, more or less. Yeah, 80 centimeters. This right here is 70 centimeters, and this is another 81. These fans are actually quite decent. I remember they were a little bit loud when I tested it, but they're fine. And they have a really big heatsink on the back. So you can see here from the bottom of the card, you can see here the PCIe 4.0 in this card, 5.0 in the S80. You can see here some details about the heatsink. You can see it goes all the way through to the other side. And same goes here. We have some heat pipes here, and here we don't have heat pipes. Maybe they are at the bottom. Yeah, they seem to be here at the bottom. And then here at the top we have another big grill. Same, it goes all the way down. Have here some screws. Tighten this up. I guess these screws are where the core is. And same here with some elements of the PCB protected. They seem to be in contact with the with the cooling system. No, it's really nice. We have some running here, some running again here with the logo in the central fan, and then some more running here at the back of the card. But yeah, the logo, here we have the sticker for the warranty, and if we go here we can get all the details of the card. Here are my part numbers. Let's flip this around so you can see it if you want. The MTT S70, 224 bits, 7GB, yeah, because this card has 7GB of VRAM. It's really weird, we'll get into that. And then we have a PCI 8-pin power connector that is located at the back of the card. Also, this is really big. It's only 2 slots high. Well, I mean, it has 2 slots here, but it's a little bit more than 2 slots. You need a little bit more space. But it's really nice design. It looks really good. It feels really good quality, not a Chinese product. You would expect, yeah, this black thing looks like plastic, but this part right here, it is metal. I think it is metal. Basically, this card has a really good building material, and I think that physically it seems like a good product. But let's see how this translates to the performance part, because as we will see now, it doesn't perform as well as it looks. And let's start by looking at the drivers. The drivers can be easily downloaded from their official website, but only from the Chinese side. And once you have it, the install process is really straightforward. You just click the orange buttons 3 times and there you have it. You don't have many options to configure it or anything, but the only thing is that it is all in Chinese. One restart later, I was trying to see if any of the programs would detect the card. For example, here, hardware info was not detecting any of the sensors of the card. I also tried GPU share, but it wasn't detecting it either. So I just went and updated it to see if it did anything similar, and then that time around it did detect some information. But as you can see, most of the details here are missing, and the information is showing it's already known, so not that useful. Here you have all the information it gives from the different tabs of GPU set, and I also tried some other programs like IDA64 I had installed and more hardware info to see all the details they would give. And here you have all the different pages of information. If you want, you can stop the video and take a look at them, but it's not really relevant information about the card. So now let's go with the driver itself. And as you can see, the interface is really well done. A lot better than the NVIDIA one, for example, although they're changing that now. But yeah, as you can see here, we cannot see the monitoring info with MSI Afterburner, but we can see it from the driver itself. Here you can see the clock speed, the usage, all the power it's using, temperature, and other basic stuff from the GPU, and also some specs. So that's nice. It's only Chinese, but I mean, you can see by the units what all this stuff means. And yeah, it has 7GB of memory. It's a weird GPU. So the driver actually is pretty complete. As you can see here in the second tab, we have some options to set the resolution from the screen, also the frame rate and other stuff. Here you can see what I'm guessing is some information to record the screen and to just save it, I guess. Also, yeah, that's the quality. And here we have a section that is to monitor the card itself. You have like an overlay that gives some information. Yep, here I activated it, and as you can see, this is what I will be using when I test games here, because MSI Afterburner is not pinging anything. So yeah, it was actually pretty complete. Then in the next 2 tabs, we have one. There is this one with some kind of promotion or account, and then this last one that lists all the games that the card is supposed to be able to play. As you can see, are mostly Chinese games and some indie games, but not major releases. But yeah, we'll have to try this later and see if these games are really the ones that it can only play, or how it plays them. And you will see what I mean now with the benchmarks, because this card only supports DirectX 11, so all the modern games you are not gonna be able to play them here. At least not in these drivers, because now, when I was doing this video, I saw that they released a new version of the drivers that can actually run DirectX 12. So I will test that in a future video for sure, because I want to see if they fixed anything with the performance. That, as you will see, it's really low. It's terribly bad, and also if they can run newer games. So yeah, let's get into it. So first game I was trying was Far Cry 5, and as you can see the performance is terrible. There is no stability in the frame times, it is using way too much memory, as you can see here by MSI Afterburner that can just read that, and it's not even using all these TDP. The TDP can go up to like 200 watts, but it is running at its clock speed, it doesn't have like turbo speeds or anything, and also GPU usage is at half of what it can be. This is at ultra settings with DAA enabled, as you saw before when I was starting it, but yeah, it's a terrible experience, it's unplayable like this. So next thing I did was try to lower the quality at the minimum, and here of course it ran a lot better, but it was still pretty bad. So yeah, even at the lowest settings it is terrible, it is still using half the GPU. It now has more memory to play with, but still it is not like using it. The frame rate is more stable, but at least this game doesn't have like any game-breaking graphics or anything, because other games that we will see now really look really weird when running with this GPU, and also seem like they have some errors when rendering, but this one is rendering fine, just as terrible performance. Then next on the list was Middle-earth: Shadow of War. This game was a AAA from a couple of years ago, so I wasn't expecting much, but still it managed to do even worse than I was expecting. Here you can see a lot of rendering errors all the way through the run. Most of the textures are not rendering properly, a lot of them are not even being loaded, and there are errors all around with the lighting, all around with rendering stuff. And as you can see, the leaves, the trees, popping in like the object is not being correctly loaded into the scene. It's just popping in all around, even in places there should not be trees, so I don't know how the hell are they doing that, but yeah, this game is completely broken. At least we can see something positive here, and that is that it's going smooth. Next thing, I tried opening a Vulkan game to see if it supports it. This was Red Dead Redemption 2, and it was not launching from the Rockstar launcher. To confirm this, I also tried launching Strange Brigade, that is another Vulkan game, and this was not launching either. It didn't give any error or anything, just this that the drivers are not up to date, because these drivers are not like NVIDIA or AMD or anything known, but it wasn't giving me any error, so I just supposed Vulkan games are not supported. So then I went to try other DirectX 11 games I had installed, for example Shadow of the Tomb Raider, that even though it is a DirectX 12 game, it has a DirectX 11 version, so I tried running that. This game loaded perfectly fine, but you can see the menu was really laggy, so well, let's see how it does in the integrated benchmark. For this run I tried the highest settings, that is the highest preset this game has, with the AA enabled, and as you can see the performance is really bad, even down to the single digits. The frame times here also have a really interesting shape, because as you can see they seem to be flat at the top, and the frames also seem to be rendering like a little burst, like every second you will get a couple of frames and then it will stop, and then another couple of frames, and it was like this for all the tests. For example, here if we go to the last scene, it's the same. Here you will have a couple of 100 FPS with more powerful cards, like, well, not even that more powerful, like even a 3060 would do that, but here it's just terrible. Also during all these tests you can see that the textures are constantly popping in or not loading correctly, so it's also the quality is really bad, it's not rendering properly. And then to top it all off, when you finish this benchmark, it would get stuck on the loading screen to get back to the menu, so you have to close the game and then open it again, and you would not see the results of the benchmarks on the app. So yeah, definitely something is broken. After restarting the app I did another couple of runs, but this time at the lowest quality press, still with the AA, and now it was surprisingly smooth, but even still the performance was really bad for what you would expect from a card with this power. For example, here in these other scenes, you will see that it would be more smooth, but the textures would still be popping in, and the shaders sometimes would be a little bit broken with the lighting and all that stuff. Yeah, it's smoother, it seems to be going better, but they are still rendering problems, and the game I doubt is playable like this, even at the lowest settings. Also, this time around, it wasn't stuck loading the menu once the test was done, so here are the results. This was with the lowest quality preset, so maybe it has to do something with the VRAM, because with the ultra quality preset it was using a lot more VRAM than the card has. Next on the list was Minecraft. This game was listed on the supported games list, so I would expect this to run well, and also it's an OpenGL game, so it's a really old standard for rendering graphics. So it was also, I wanted to test this to see if it would render this fine. And well, I mean, it worked. The card was recognized in game correctly, and it was rendering the graphics without any issues, but the performance again was not what you would expect for a GPU like this. It's true that Minecraft is mostly a CPU bound game, but still it should be getting a lot more FPS than the ones this getting here. Like, it should be well over 100 FPS with a CPU like this. So, well, I mean, it worked, it was playable, most of the time it was playable at least, so yeah, I would give this a pass. Then, as I was running out of DirectX 11 games I had installed in the system, I tried running some DirectX 12 games to see if they would launch. For example, Forza Horizon 5 would not launch. I also tried Hitman 3, and it wouldn't launch anything either. So yeah, definitely not compatible. It wouldn't show like any errors, it would just refuse to launch the game. I mean, it would try to launch it, but it would just sit there loading. Another game I tried was CS2Go. This game is supposedly supported by the GPU, but as you can see here, the performance is really bad even at the lowest preset. It is lagging all the time, you can see a lot of stuttering, but I mean, it seems to be using the GPU much. You can see here that it's around the 90%. I don't know what the problem might be here, because it is using more of the GPU, but still the power consumption is not going up, and it seems to be lagging just randomly across the map. I was here in a couple of bot matches trying this, but yeah, you can see here some recordings of the games, but yeah, basically it seems to be rendering correctly, but the performance is not great. It is stuttering a lot, but it seems to be running the game more or less correctly and using most of the GPU. Of course, I would not say this game is playable like this, because as you can see, it's not smooth at all, and the frame rate is just going up and down all the time, and it's not even hitting 60 FPS, but at least, I mean, it's looking correctly, it's rendering correctly. The image quality, it seems to be okay. The last game I wanted to try before going to synthetic tests was Control. I discovered that Control had a DirectX 11 mode, so I wanted to try that, because that's a really demanding game, even for good GPUs from NVIDIA and AMD. So I went to that, I launched it, and to my surprise it actually went to the menus and it was looking like it was rendering correctly. So I set it to the lowest preset, and when I tried to start a new game, it would just crash. I tried that again a couple of times and it would just crash at random points. It wasn't even showing the cinematic that would appear at the beginning of the game, and when it crashed it just said that it had a video driver problem. So now I tried to run a couple of synthetic tests. The first test I tried was Unigine superposition, a test I'd really like to see how GPUs perform. This test is really demanding, so I was expecting the card to have a really low performance, but I couldn't try that because it was crashing all the time when I tried to open it. It would just show a blank screen and it would not even load the actual tab of the program. This shouldn't be happening because this is not in game, this is not rendering anything, it's just like the window of the test. So anyways, I went to 3D Mark, and in 3D Mark I went to the Fire Strike. For this one I tried running it and I was able to complete a couple of runs. Of course the results are not validated because this card is not recognized by 3D Mark, but at least I was able to get some scores that you can use to compare it to other cards. I feel like the performance in these tests is really beefed up artificially because this card was doing way worse on games. So as I said before, here you have the results if you want to compare it to other cards. I put some here that get these similar scores according to the internet if you want to compare how it performs in these games, but as I said before, the performance in games is actually a lot worse than in this benchmark. So as we have seen on all these tests and all these games, the GPU is not in a working state, to say the least. It seems to be more like an alpha or a beta state, where it can run some games, but it does so poorly and with a really low frame rate, and most of the times with a really unstable frame time too. Even Minecraft, that was the game that ran the best, is a game that really doesn't require much in terms of performance, in terms of GPU performance at least, because the CPU can be a little bit tasking. But yeah, this GPU is not ready to ship, it's not ready to use, and I don't think anyone should buy it and use it on their system. For now, I'm gonna hold on into this GPU and do some tests in the future. I want to test if DirectX 12 games are gonna work in the newest drivers and how are gonna do so, and if they start fixing the performance in these DirectX 11 games. Because I think this card has still a lot of potential to be unlocked, even though right now it isn't really working correctly, but I think it can maybe do so in the future. I also want to try some other games on it, like for example games that are not that demanding, that are a lot simple, like indie games, maybe, I don't know, League of Legends, Valorant and other stuff like that, and see how the card does like that and if they are playable. So let me know in the comments what you want me to try on, and if you have any other questions about the GPU. Also, you can look at more information on my website here about the card and about the specs, and also compare it to the specs of other cards. And well, leave a like, let me know if you like it and things I can improve, because this is like my first review and I'm not really that good talking in English. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.